On August 7th, 2016, Caleb Schwab, the 10-year-old son of Kansas State Representative Scott Schwab, died while riding Verrückt, a waterslide built for the Kansas City water park Schlitterbahn that has since been dismantled. The raft that Caleb was riding went airborne while going up the slide's second hill and hit a metal support of the netting above the slide, resulting in his decapitation. His remains slid down the rest of the way, leaving a streak of blood in the water. Caleb was riding with two other passengers, both women, who suffered injuries as well, but survived. One woman suffered a broken jaw, while the other suffered a facial bone fracture. It is said that the accident was the result of uneven weight distribution, as Caleb, much lighter than the two women, was allowed to sit in the front of the raft. This uneven distribution of weight might be what caused the raft to go airborne. Regardless, Verrückt itself, in its design, had always been an unsafe ride, and never should have been in operation in the first place. It could be said the ride was a result of human hubris, or at least thoughtlessness. Schlitterbahn designer Jeff Henry conceived the ride on the spur of the moment when asked at a trade show what he was working on. He vowed he would create the world's tallest water slide. When it opened in 2014, Verrückt, meaning crazy in German, became just that, and was named as such by the Guinness Book of World Records. It had a height of 168 feet, taller than Niagara Falls. No company dared build the ride that Henry proposed, so he resolved to build it himself, enlisting John Shuley as the ride's lead designer. Henry pressed his design team to work around the clock to complete the ride quickly. Calculations normally given 3 to 6 months to finish were instead given only a mere 5 weeks. As they began testing, in a foreshadowing of the tragic accident, the rafts they sent down kept going airborne on the ride's large bottom hump. Sandbags placed in the raft that weighed 110 pounds, close in weight to the 74-pound Caleb, would frequently fly off during testing. The team tried to remedy this by tearing down most of the lower part of the ride to rebuild and re-engineer it. The second drop was modified to help slow down the rafts, and a series of metal hoops and netting, supported by them, were added in the areas where the rafts had flown off during testing. Of course, ironically, impact with this netting, at speeds up to 70 miles per hour, would be what tragically ended Caleb's life. In the aftermath of the accident, it was found that the use of the netting and metal braces in the ride was a violation of safety guidelines set by the Committee on Amusement Rides and Devices of the American Society of Testing and Materials. The ride's hook and loop strap restraints were also insufficient, according to guidelines, as well as its lack of an upstop mechanism to prevent rafts from going airborne. State legislators initially passed a law allowing Schlitterbahn to inspect their own rides, as they did in their Texas park. Of course, this was quickly changed after Caleb's death, and now all amusement park attractions must be inspected by the state in Kansas. In response to the accident, in November 2016, Schlitterbahn announced Verrückt would be demolished. The slide was torn down completely in early 2019, though the park remains open. In March 2018, Henry Shuley and former Director of Operations for Schlitterbahn, Tyler Austin Miles, were charged with involuntary manslaughter, among several other charges. In their indictment, a grand jury noted Henry and Shuley lacked technical expertise to design a properly functioning water slide. This was true. Henry had no formal training in engineering, and even brushed off a safety consultant's suggestion that only riders 16 and over should be allowed on the ride. Both Henry and Shuley were arrested in 2018, but all criminal charges against them and Miles were dismissed due to the fact that inadmissible evidence had been presented to the grand jury. Obviously, the tragedy of Caleb Schwab's death was totally preventable. Scott and Michelle Schwab continue to mourn their son's death. Caleb is survived also by his 3 brothers, who also went to Schlitterbahn on that fateful day. His older brother Nathan even witnessed the unimaginable accident while waiting at the bottom of the slide for Caleb. Scott Schwab coped by writing a letter to his deceased son, and writing what he believed Caleb's response would be. A way to say goodbye. Caleb's family continue to miss him, and watch videos they recorded of him to keep him in their thoughts. They miss his hugs, and watching him play sports. Please keep the Schwab family in your mind as they move forward and cope with their loss. Surely Caleb Schwab was gone too soon.